You're listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Welcome back as we launch into the second hour of BaaD Radio. I'm going to run through all of the regular info for those of you who might have just joined us. I am Angela Smarito, your host, and we've got our co-host and videographer, Melissa Jacob.
Hello, hello, hello. 3 times. 3 times hello.
That's a better clap there. I like that one. So Melissa's business is called Striking Brand. And if you go to Striking Brand, you can see all of her work there. But if you go to baadradio.com, then you can also see all the previous episodes of BaaD Radio on there. And so we've been talking with Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services for the first hour. And we're going to continue with that conversation with the second hour. And I know it sounds funny, but I really enjoy these conversations that we have talking about irrigation systems and things like that. But it's just kind of crazy that you can talk for 2 hours about irrigation systems. I remember the first time that we did it for 2 hours, and I was like, that was really fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was a blast.
Yeah. It was like one of my favorite shows in the studio that we started. I was like, okay, so that works. You know what? I guess it's just because it's relevant. We're grown-ups now. We own houses. We have to deal with adulting, and our lawn is part of it. I know that when I drive through a neighborhood, I look at the lawns. And even in my own neighborhood, I get frustrated when somebody's lawn, doesn't look nice. Because we spend money, we work hard to make ours look nice. You mentioned the rain earlier, and one of the things that we talk about, in your live read, is a water sensor. So tell us about how that works. I mean, I know what a sensor is. It's like don't water, but I mean, how does the whole thing work with the installation and everything?
The process of a rain sensor is you mount it in an area that it's not blocked. It's not blocked by trees or walls. I mean, I've seen them hanging on the side of a house, which is
it's a contraption then.
Yes, it's a device. It's either wired or wireless, and you have multiple settings. 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and there's the technology is there's little cork discs, and as you add water to it, they expand, and then there's a switch. What the switch does is it actually kills the ground. So when the time
does what?
It kills the ground wire to the valves from the timer.
It stops.
Gotcha.
So it breaks the circuit.
Okay.
So the timer will turn on, but that circuit's broken because of the rain sensor is activated.
Oh.
All right. So then it doesn't run until it's able to dry out. Okay.
And so that cork will expand and
expands and contracts.
Right.
Yes. I mean, when it gets wet, it blows up, activates the switch. When it's hot out, it dries out, and then
it's smaller
and then yes.
Do you recommend everybody have?
Everybody needs to have one.
Oh yeah, save you money.
Right.
Yes, everybody needs to have one.
What percentage of houses would you say don't have water sensors?
A lot of the new houses, they all do. Okay, because it's code. A lot of the older homes,
good that they make a code.
A lot of the older homes, systems put in the 70s and 80s, and a lot of those homes don't. But they do need to be serviced here and there.
How often they need to get replaced, because if they're going back and forth,
like the cork piece,
right?
They last for years, but the biggest issue is that we find is however they're mounted. A lot of them mount them on the side of the flashing of a house. All right, so it takes the rainwater off the roof, so you're really not getting an accurate measurement, because when it pours down rain, you have a waterfall.
Yeah.
But also when if it's above that, it's usually pretty good. But we usually get roofing stones. They get in there, moss.
Right.
So it's not something that needs to be serviced every year.
Right.
But, so every few years.
Well, I just figure in a neighborhood like mine where we just have so many trees and dirt, you know what I mean? It's there's so much vegetation
and
around.
That, in your neighborhood, that's where we would come in and we put a wireless. So we would actually have a wireless rain sensor, and we would take it into the most sunniest area that we can hang it, which would be on a fence panel. on a
Definitely.
on a 4x4 fence panel way in the
Mhm.
back or someplace else like that. That's not under trees.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay, because then that's going to give you the most. That's going to measure it the most effectively.
Right. Because that's the part. I just know that there's been so many times where, our sprinkler day comes and Tom's like, dang it, I forgot to turn it off because he meant to because we had rain.
Mhm.
Is it expensive? Okay, so 2 questions. Is it expensive and is it hard? You mentioned the wireless one. So I'm assuming that means that it can be just an addition to a system that's already installed.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because part of it gets wired into the timer and the other part goes out into the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not expensive.
Like what's not expensive?
$250,
All right, that's not too bad. $250.
and that's on a wireless.
Yeah. $250 to never have to worry about like overwatering or like running your sprinklers when you don't need to. I think that's
That's
totally
true.
worth it.
But I mean, so with this winter and our crazy weather that we've had here, I've actually been telling people just to turn their systems off because our ground is staying so wet.
Mhm.
It's causing a lot of fungus and diseases in grass and as well as plants. And that rain sensor can dry out, but yet the ground is still going to be
Still wet.
muddy and wet. Yes.
So so the ground's wet right now, but you as a business owner, does this allow you to kind of like do a lot of service calls right now, or do people just not call you until they have a problem?
It's hands off, and we're trying to get it. I mean, I would like to be in front of that. So I would like to go into our drought season and have as many clients ready for that time
Mm-hmm.
rather than getting into our drought season and us not being able to get out there for 2 weeks.
Right.
Because
So let's talk about that a little bit. You have
Yeah.
a system for that.
Yes.
Like, tell us all about it.
So one of the programs we offer is our membership program where we come out 2 times a year and we run through the system. So we'll turn it on, we'll check and set and make sure everything is watering
Mhm.
accordingly. It's not going to prevent something from happening between now and our next visit,
Right.
but it keeps you going. It's like having your AC serviced in your
Mhm.
house. It just keeps it going and stuff. And then if we see something, we can say, hey, you have a zone, you have a valve that's hanging. And what that means is it's not turning off as quickly as what it should. So as the next
So what
zone,
would that do? Wastewater or
waste a lot of water,
Right.
but it also affects the water pressure. So the
Mm.
next zone is not watering it as efficiently as what it needs to be because there's too much of a draw in the system.
Why would it do that? Why would it be hanging?
It happens because of age and as well as the inside of these valves, they're plastic and rubber. I mean, a lot like what's inside of a toilet,
Right.
a toilet flapper.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay,
Hate those things.
I know
Same.
it's the same concept. I mean, it's the same concept.
So it's
Right.
going to wear out just like that
I
flapper.
mean, it's going to wear out. It's going to get algae on it from the reclaimed water. If
Got
you're on a
it.
well, it's going to get the sand. You know,
Right.
so it's a movable part that
Mhm.
just wears.
Gotcha.
So is that something that would be replaced every 6 months? Or I'm
No.
sorry, you said 2 times a year, right?
No, but we would be able to say, hey, you got a valve hanging. This needs to be addressed. I mean, it could stick on, but it just puts that knowledge in their hands again.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an expensive repair?
$250, $300. It all depends on how it's the valve used
Right.
and how it's plumbed in there and stuff. If we can repair it, we will. If we have to replace it, then we
That's a
replace
different story,
it. Yes.
right? No, I think that's great. And again, it's all comes down to adulting, like going to the dentist,
Mhm.
before something bad happens.
Maintenance.
Maintenance, changing your
Maintenance.
air filters, getting this service and that service. So, like I said, it's really, really good information. And for people that want to, like you said, get ahead of a problem before it happens, it's definitely
Mhm.
the right thing to do.
Yes. So the people that are on our membership programs right now, we're getting them ready for spring.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going into the drought season
Knowing
know,
that they don't have a problem,
knowing that all their heads are working, everything's spraying right. They'll just readjust the time
right?
when that time comes.
Right. Actually, you know what? I want to talk about that, like
Okay.
the timing when we get back. So everybody stay tuned. We have more BaaD Radio coming up.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. With daily specials, an amazing kids menu, and sports, and more sports, there is something for everyone. And don't miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. With 4 great locations, there's bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun.
I almost didn't do it because I was like, wait, this isn't the ad. And then I was like, no, we're good.
Yeah, we're getting there. And then I'm going to probably pull one of those and put it for the Frogger's ad for the show, too, because you might as well, right? But yeah, we were talking on break about like our ongoing ranch and blue cheese feud. She's a blue cheese person.
Yes,
and I'm a ranch.
100%. Same. See,
Yes.
we know what's up. But Frogger's they say that it's the best blue cheese, but I think it should be called something else.
Because it's
It
more of
doesn't
like
taste like blue cheese at all to me.
It reminds me of almost like what do people serve with fish?
Tartar sauce.
Tartar sauce. It reminds me of like a tartar sauce.
Well, it's sweet too. It's
Yeah.
kind of sweet. Yeah, I don't know what it is, what it should be called, but it's good. It is,
But it's
good.
not your- it's not your blue
If
cheese.
you like blue cheese, just bring your own because theirs is good. Theirs is good. I'm not slamming it. I'm just like, you guys created something else.
right.
Something
I think
else.
they're blue cheese. I think blue cheese.
It's got to have a
tastes like-
lot of blue cheese in it.
Yeah, same.
Yes.
The chunks and
Yes,
stuff?
the chunks, not like ranch where it's all
Yeah.
blended in.
To me, it's
we know.
it's blue cheese like sounds or tastes like dirt to me. It's
What?
bizarre. Like if you get a Cobb salad
I always knew
and
that there was something wrong with her.
we found it out.
It comes out.
seriously though, but like if you get if I just get one little piece of blue cheese in a salad, I'm like,
Girl, I
what
literally
is it?
get like the blue cheese wedge salad thing.
Oh,
you get those?
okay, yes.
With like bacon and
No.
Bacon, blue
Oh,
cheese,
oh.
and
and onions
yes.
and stuff.
That's so
Cobb,
crazy.
Cobb salads are usually pretty good
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they got the blue cheese, the
Yeah.
bacon, oh yeah.
Sam
Mhm.
Sneed's has a wedge salad over here that you can get it like doused with blue cheese. So you guys should check
Where?
that out.
Where?
Sam Sneed's right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
By the, yeah. They do a really good. Yeah, it's a really good wedge salad. They literally serve it as like a half of a chunk of lettuce coming out there. So,
Pour it over, put the bacon on it.
Right?
We're good to go.
Me and Rick both like, where? Where are we going to lunch?
it's a
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah, it's a good place. All right, so we are going to continue our conversation with Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services, and I know that we had a cliffhanger, but now that we're talking about blue cheese and ranch, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, dang.
Well, we're-
Oh, that happens.
You were
calling you.
Please.
Calling you guys out. What was it?
Uh-oh.
It had to do with was it timing? All right, Guy, you paying attention to us over there? He's like, yeah,
He's
no.
like, don't bring me into this. Don't drag me into this.
Yes, we're talking about water times.
Right.
Yes.
So you mentioned like you changed the time. So how does all that work, and who dictates when and where you can water?
Well, for us, it's the St. John's Water Management District kind of sets out rules, and
Are you
then
talking, is that like Orlando proper, or is that
It's-
like the DMA or
it's like
Central
Lake
Florida?
County.
Okay.
It's our water district in this area and stuff. And there's a water district down in South Orlando, Kissimmee. I mean, there's multiple water districts in the state,
Right.
and they kind of set out regulations based upon how much water we have in the aquifer.
Where
and
is the aquifer?
the aquifer is right underneath of us. It's all of our land. We have limestone is what's on top. Water's underneath limestone, and then the soil and dirt and stuff like that.
Is it? I'm going to be really dumb right now, but it's not salt water.
Not for us, it's not. But as you get closer to the coast, and also when the water level the aquifer starts getting lower, I have heard that there is salt in it. But our water's fresh, potable, clean.
That's pretty cool. So you have the different water districts, and
then the cities make their own, or they use that as a guide, and they.
does it make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely.
And
Absolutely. Your yard doesn't need to be watered more than 2 times a week. If your system is working correctly, 2 times a week is plenty.
but there's some people that take
Every
advantage.
day,
Yeah.
every day and stuff. And then some people water 2 times a day. And, if
Is it usually the old timers?
it is, it is. And then it's the,
Get off my lawn, guys.
it's the, it's the Karens and all that. But too much water causes other issues.
You said before fungus.
Fungus, you get dollar weed, you get all sorts of root rot, different types of funguses with grass as well as plants. And like my yard, I haven't watered it in months.
Because all the rain?
All the rain we've had.
What part of town do you live in?
I live in Longwood.
That's right. So you're not that far from me.
No.
She's Oviedo. I'm Winter Springs. You're Longwood. We're
So we're all triangle.
Triangle. Yeah, but some areas are, so I live near multiple lakes. So my ground where I'm at stays wet longer. As where my mom used to live, more toward I-4 and 434, it was more sandy. So her soil would dry out a little faster.
Right.
Okay. A lot of the new subdivisions, where they come in and they build up the ground, and they put, the houses 5 feet from each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. They hold a lot of water too, because you get the rainwater from both houses, kind of just flowing in the same
A
easement.
little alley.
Well,
Yes.
Little water alley.
I've always been told that you can get fined for watering outside of your zones, but is that even true? Does
It
anybody
is.
pay attention to it?
There are water cups. And
Really?
we have
Water cops.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds fun, doesn't it? Be a cup on the water, but that's not necessarily the case here.
I have had people call me that have said, we don't have water, my system's not working, and I go out there and their water meter's turned off.
Because they got in trouble for overwatering. Ooh.
Both of us.
Because
You're in trouble.
yeah, so it is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very much a thing. I don't know who does it or what company, or, the county or the cities hire out or what, but they usually will just turn if it's a multiple offense, they'll just turn the water off.
Dang.
Right.
But there again, and stuff, the more people know and have and stuff, education.
If
you're good.
people's sprinklers are going off in the middle of the night, how do they know?
They drive around.
In the middle of the night?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's what I heard. I've never seen it, but
Dang.
I've heard it. Was the
Water
thing.
cops go hard.
Well, what does your sprinkler do last night? We never see our irrigation water because we're always usually asleep,
Right.
dreaming and la la land.
What's the water cop going to do? Put like a little ticket, like right on your your little your meter there?
They would put a tag on your door,
Ooh,
or they could just shut off your water. I mean, there again, every area is different.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, there's not one over another.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But-
Yeah, Winter Spring, I don't know. I've heard different things about Winter Springs water issue. I just know that we have issues in Winter Springs
guys do.
with
Where-
water.
This is going to be really dumb, and I'm apologizing in advance. But where do you find out? Because I know when you get to a certain amount of drought, then you have specific days that you're supposed to water, and when you can't.
Well, I think that's all the time anyway, isn't it?
We do have we are on mandatory water restrictions here.
Okay.
And that's for all the time, not just like
Correct.
drought.
All right. So even dumber than I thought. But
No,
also,
I didn't know either.
Where do you where do you find out what days you're allowed to water? I know I'm an adult technically. I'm almost 40, but
we're like adulting now.
yeah, I don't really know where to. Like, I'll see somebody in my neighborhood might post something, and I'm like, oh, good to know.
Well, no, there's so many things in
Yeah.
adulting, so I get it.
How do I know when to water my yard?
So, all the cities and the county on their websites, all right, they will have an area for
Lawn
like-
maintenance or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that will share with you the days and times. But as a general, like right now, we're on a day a week.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm telling people don't even water.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Did you say one day a week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because our lawns don't need water really. I mean, they don't need a whole lot through the wintertime.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's based upon your address and the time of the year. So, like in the summer, it's 2 days a week.
Right. I want to keep talking about that.
Mhm.
So you guys stay tuned. We'll be back with more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. And we are here with Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services, and it's crazy. It's like people know they need to get a home inspection, but they don't include their irrigation system. Why? We're gonna crack this nut and figure it out, and figure out what we can do. You know what? Part of me thinks that realtors don't grab hold of it because they don't want to have to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's just one more thing that's going to be on their list, but
it's one more expense on the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And when when properties are selling as fast as they go up for sale, people are buying them as is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if the paint's peeling off the wall on the outside of the house.
They're buying it, right?
Just because there is nothing else.
But just in such a competitive market, like you said, it is a big marketing
it's service.
tool.
It's service for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's service for them.
Yeah.
So.
So last segment we were talking about, days of the week that we were watering, and we were talking. I mean, Melissa mentioned that would be a good thing too, like kind of like a PSA type of thing, where public service announcement, where from ground up, these are the days in these counties that you can water. So that's one thing. And then we talked about like a notification of when the times were to change.
So it usually falls on time changing. So when time changes, so like in March when we change our clocks, then we go from 1 day to 2.
Oh, that's smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in the fall when we change our clocks again, we go from 2 to 1.
Gotcha. Yeah, that'll help me remember.
Well, I just know that also, like when you have for your lawn service, like if you have somebody mow your lawn, like during the summer you have to mow it every single week, but in the winter only once every 2 weeks.
Right.
Once every 2 weeks. I mean, yeah, that's usually an average.
Well, and you also mentioned you kept the way that we've been talking about it is making the assumption that most lawns are the same. I've seen different types of grass and different, and I mean, I can't remember what the name of our grass is, but it's St. Augustine. Yeah.
St. Augustine is what you guys have.
Right.
Yes.
And so that's the most common, but I'm starting to see other types of grass that don't look like St. Augustine popping up.
Yeah. So I used to have St. Augustine in my yard, and I removed it and put it in Bahia.
Does it look different?
It does look different, but I take care of everybody else's stuff. I'm the last to take care of mine.
Yeah, it happens that way.
Yeah, I mean, it usually does. So I was, so I have an easy grass. My irrigation runs for like 15 minutes. Most of the systems that I work on, I'm watering 15 minutes and they're watering for an hour.
Why? So that's because of
That's a
the
type
hay?
of grass. Yes, it's a type of grass.
Is it more expensive? Is that why?
No, it's not as pretty.
Oh,
The St. Augustine and the zoysia grasses. I mean, they're very pretty.
They're really thick, aren't they?
They are thick. Mine is not. Mine's
each
thin.
blade, is it the one that's like each blade is thinner, so it's almost like it looks
and,
more like green
and then
hair.
I get the stalks in the summertime that have the seed pods on it. That
Oh yeah, I remember that makes me think of growing up.
I like that.
Put it in your mouth and you chew on it.
That's it. That's
Exactly.
That's what I have in mind.
Yeah.
But but I still have it sprayed and fertilized and all that kind of stuff. But I don't. It's not a heavy maintenance. All right, but 90% of everybody that lives in a managed HOA will have the St. Augustine grass. Okay, so they need to maintain that.
Right. Well, that's what I'm
without
saying
getting
is
that
like
trouble letter.
right.
Why is that the primary? Is it just because it's like the easiest thing, like hardy or
The
what?
St. Augustine?
Yeah.
It's looks.
It's like one
Really?
person did it and everybody said, "Oh, I like that. Let's do that."
It's looks, and then that's what's written in the bylaws.
So
So,
most
I-
HOAs will tell you have to have St.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Augustine?
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know
Ma-
that they would be like that strict on the type of grass.
Oh,
just
yeah.
making sure that the grass doesn't have brown spots.
Because
and
of the
things.
consistency of how everything looks in the
Absolutely.
neighborhood.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I used to be like, I mean, now that I'm the age that I am in a house, I do understand why HOAs are not like all that evil. because
Well.
I see people.
It depends. Like I get it too.
Yeah.
Like because you don't want just one random crazy house,
Mhm.
but it depends on who's on the board because sometimes they get a little bit.
Power hungry.
Yeah.
Like,
Do you not have any hobbies?
Yeah. No, we used to have an HOA in the townhouse that Tom and I used to live in.
Mhm.
And I finally ended up getting on the board too because they were just doing things.
Right.
They either weren't doing enough or they were over managing.
Mhm.
And they got us in such a hole financially that because of our sprinkler systems, it was like, it was just a huge undertaking.
Mhm.
And they're just like, anyway, it was a mess. So,
I mean, there's a lot of good with an HOA. All right, I don't live in an HOA. I live within the city limits. So I deal with
Oh, nice.
code enforcement, but I don't have a problem with them.
mhm.
Okay. When I was living in an HOA when I was growing up, I mean, we would not be allowed to have a basketball hoop in our front yard.
Yeah,
That's
stuff like
overdone.
that.
And
like,
it's things like that when I was growing up, my mom and dad would get a letter, that we needed to remove the basketball, because we didn't take it behind the fence.
mhm.
Okay, that, okay, this is a neighborhood where kids, let's play in the driveway.
Right.
Things like that. It just was like, okay.
There's so many dumb rules. Yeah, I was on an HOA board too. I was doing my neighborhood a favor because they needed volunteers, and it's like some of the rules, and then it's like you get stuck because it's like you can't change them unless you have a certain percentage of people vote, and then nobody pays attention. Nobody,
Right.
wants,
Nobody
to
wants
vote,
to vote.
So then everything just gets stuck, and then people complain, and then it's like, well, you didn't vote. It's like a whole fun.
Oh no, it's
cycle.
it's like
Yep.
Yeah,
it's politics.
yeah, it's terrible.
But
Yeah.
do you guys do like full irrigation? So like it was called Firm Brick Trails, and we were getting quotes on getting the entire irrigation system or like replaced, but we ended up just like being able to get it fixed
For like common areas. Is that what
yeah,
you're talking about?
yeah.
So we primarily service and repair. I don't do any of the new installs anymore. And we would prefer to go in and fix something.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I've gone in and added heads and lines and things like that, and made two zones into one if I could, depending upon their well. And it's just a lot more cost effective.
But I mean, is there really a lot of situations where it's like this system is shot, you need a whole new one? Is that like, or can you usually find little bits and fix it like piecemeal?
I mean, it depends what was done on the property. I had a guy a couple years ago. They added like 4 different rooms on the house on every corner and things like that. Well, he was wanting to fix the system. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Right.
Okay. I mean, if there's a pipe that, that wasn't capped off right and that shoots underneath the foundation of the house, then I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So rather than taking that risk, you just need to,
Rip it all out and start over again.
start over
Oh,
and then you know
man.
what you got.
Okay, how much does it? Okay, I'm not holding you to it, but like,
That sounds scary.
yeah, what would that cost a homeowner to have? Okay, say it's just a standard 3-2 house and a whole brand new irrigation system.
It's averaging anywhere from 900 to 1,300 a zone.
A
per
zone.
Per zone.
How many zones are there usually in a?
4 to 6
Ooh,
on a
dang.
smaller home.
That's some cash right
About
there.
10,000, 6,000 to 10,000 something.
Wow. Yeah, I can see where like getting that inspected before you buy a home is really, really important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's I actually had never thought I'd say this when I was years ago, but I would always throw away my scrap pipe.
You throw it away.
Yeah, I would throw it away because it takes up space. But when we were going through COVID and after COVID and all the shortages, and then the rates, the cost increase on plastic,
Mm-hmm.
I keep most of that stuff now
Yeah.
because I never know when I'm going to need it.
Right.
No, right, for sure.
And if it's 50 cents a foot or 75 cents a foot cost on a foot of pipe, I'm not going to throw away a $4 or a 4-foot section of pipe anymore.
I don't know. If it sits in my garage for too long, it goes out.
Well,
I need you to visit me. I'm so crafty. I'll just have like piles of wood just hanging out.
No.
Like there's going to be a project.
No, I can't do it. It'll sit there for a while, and Tom's like, "Please don't throw out this tile. This tile actually cost us a lot of money." And I'm like, "Oh, can we just move
Put it
this-
upstairs.
Yeah,
In
put it
the
somewhere I
attic.
can't see it." So, all right, you guys, we have one more segment, so stay tuned for more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, welcome back, and I would like to give a huge thank you to our sponsor, Bolts Legal. Fear no storm with boltslegal.com. Crazy Muscle Nutrition, located on 436 in Castleberry. Imbalance Bodywork in Lake Mary. Derek Brantley is ready to help take your pain away. Forge IT Consulting, providing a fully outsourced IT department with a personal touch for small business. I actually had John come over and fix my printer.
Oh, good
And
for
it
you.
was just amazing because I had been dealing with it printing like only two color, and I Googled it and did my thing, and it said, this is a problem with this printer. You need to order this part, and do all these things. And I just never got around to it. And then I was trying to print out a bunch of stuff for work, and my whole printer just got mad and said, "See manual." And I was like, okay,
Oh, crap.
that's not good. So
Yeah,
I
no.
called John. John from Forge IT Consulting came over, sat down, patiently went through all the things, got on the phone with Canon, did all the things while
good
I
gracious.
sat on my couch and did my thing. And then he fixed it, and I didn't have to order a part. So if I would have tried to do it myself, I would have ordered a part, put it in. It would not have fixed the problem.
And you would have been so much more frustrated.
Oh yeah, it would have been a
Oh, yeah.
nightmare.
Mhm.
So I haven't got his invoice yet, but whatever it is, it's worth it. So I'll deal with that. So
And I mean, sometimes that's the best thing, is to call somebody that knows what they're doing.
Mhm.
I would have no idea. I mean, I would, try to make the jam undone, whatever, and if I'm
Mhm.
done,
right.
I just
I used to try to venture into it, but I don't anymore. And
yeah.
I mean, the same goes with the irrigation systems. I've mentioned it numerous times when our irrigation system was my husband his nemesis. Like it was like he was getting up to fight with it every single day, and I can't even begin to tell you how much times it frustrated him because of it. So now he doesn't even worry about it, except for, like I said, we probably do need to get that water sensor thing,
Mhm.
because of the rain and whatnot. But I
okay,
mean,
so I'll get it taken care of for you.
yeah, it's literally call somebody that specializes in it, and it's really not that much
Mhm.
money. So, when I do your live read, I do always mention the painting service. How's that
Mhm.
going?
It's taking a little bit to get off the ground.
Are people, because when I say it to people, lots of times they're like, "Ooh, that can't be good for the ground."
Oh my gosh.
Is that what you get a lot too?
I get that a lot,
Yeah.
and then I also get in stuff if I'm doing a chamber event and I'm speaking in front of 50,
Mhm.
100 people, and I mention lawn painting. It's like the looks that people get to me, like, what? I've never heard about that.
Mhm.
I'm like, well, it's fun. Every golf course does it.
You know
Every
what?
NFL field
Yeah.
and every soccer field. I mean, if it's a live grass, they're gonna paint it because they want that picture when it's on TV broadcasted.
Oh, well, I
They
think
want it
people
perfect.
literally think that the golf courses really look that way, because that's
Okay,
just,
well, we have a frost, but yet that green where they tee off, where they putt, is perfectly green.
Mhm.
Everything else is brown.
Oh,
Yeah.
even. You can do that for your social media
right.
because it's such an interesting concept and people don't really know about it. So it's definitely like videos, like showing before and after, like just even showing the process, like what it looks like, and letting
Yeah,
people know, because that's something that's probably why it's like taking a while, because people don't know.
I did a yard this past year. It's on my website. I actually have a bunch of photos of it, but it was a brown yard. It was right after a frost, and it was just absolutely amazing.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean that line that was between their house and their neighbors was like,
Actually, I know which one you're talking
it was
about.
really cool. It was just really cool. And
Unless
I'm like,
you're the neighbor.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like this. This is really a cool.
You need to have a sign pointing, like facing the neighbor, like who did their yard.
Yeah, actually,
So
not a bad idea.
the yards you have done, what were the situations?
It's just mainly patching, or if they're having a party.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's curb appeal. It's very much a temporary thing.
Mm-hmm. How long did you say it lasted again?
In the wintertime, you can get 8 to 12 weeks. In the summertime, if you do it, you're mainly doing it to help avoid that HOA letter.
Yeah.
Okay, if you
So-
have a brown area in your front yard, it doesn't make it stand out as bad.
So you
can-
remember that? Sorry, the HOAs usually give you what, 2 weeks to comply? I
I
can't
think
remember.
it depends on where you are, but that sounds about right. So you could, so the homeowner could probably like have the issue actually fixed, but then just paint it
it
like for
takes-
the meantime.
It takes time to recover.
Right.
For the grass to recover.
Right.
I mean, unless if they go out and resod it,
Mm-hmm.
you can't buy seed for San Augustine.
Right.
So they're either going to sod it or they're going to wait.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if they decide to wait, we can paint it.
Right. So
We
that
can make it all kind of look uniform. Okay, and then they're good to go.
All right. This is also kind of funny too, but do you change the shades of green to match the grass? Or is it just like
There are multiple shades of green.
you're like
We
that one matches?
we use the one that's closest to the San Augustine.
Right. I
Okay.
gotcha.
So, because as you go up north, you know, the different grasses up north have different colors, and then the athletic fields have a different color green than what I would use on a St. Augustine yard.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Have you gone to any of the golf courses and see if they have somebody? I mean, they might have somebody they already use, but
they're on staff. They're on staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
it's
so regular.
It's such a regular thing for them. I
Right.
mean, they have the tractors and equipments and things like
Right.
that. But you know, I've tried to bring this out in front of like event planners and people that own restaurants that are
Oh,
having,
that's a good one. Event
and
planners.
thing photographers. You know, when they're going out to an area to do photos and stuff, and you know the grass is brown or multiple colors, and they just want a nice even color across something. You know, then you know,
Right. So
this is the
definitely
thing.
venues too.
Venues, absolutely.
So that's a great idea.
And we're kind of in the season for that because right now a lot of the weeds have gone dormant. So you know the crabgrasses and the different weeds are now brown.
Mm.
Okay, so you know this is kind of the time, and then we haven't had a frost yet, which is kind of scary. I mean, we're going into February, and
We haven't. I thought it was pretty gosh darn cold not too
Yeah.
long ago.
we had wind. So in our
Oh.
area, we didn't have frost.
It's supposed to get cold again this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is it?
yeah,
I think
like
so.
46, I heard.
Mm.
Wow. It's
What is
and it's
freeze?
so hot
32?
today.
Yep.
30.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah.
Not
That's
interested.
why we live here.
I know.
I'm a Florida girl. Just can't help it. Well, that's really cool. So so you're continuing on with that. We're just
Yeah.
trying to get that hook again,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
You do realize it's just all it takes is one person to be like, oh my
We're-
gosh.
we have the tools for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can put down a perfect edge without getting the paint on sidewalks and out of the gardens and off the houses and all that stuff. So we have the tools. I spent the money on the tools
Right.
just because if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it right.
Right. Well, you're talking about, I think you mentioned like soccer fields and city parks and things, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
yes. A lot of the bigger organizations, they'll have somebody usually on staff. I mean, like the cities and stuff like that because of the expense of it.
Right.
Especially if they're doing it on a regular occasion.
So you think like Central Winds does in Winter Springs?
Well, they're probably not going to do it out there. They're gonna,
because they have the baseball field.
yeah.
a lot.
So they're going to do the baseball fields, of course. They're going
Mm-hmm.
to treat it, but there's that staff that's on staff with the city is going to take care of that
Mhm.
in house.
Mm,
Okay, because it's a common thing.
right.
You
But
know,
that's just it is. I think a lot of people don't realize that it's a common thing that, oh yeah, that's been painted.
for
You just think, you're like, oh, it always looks that great.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really not done a whole lot on the residential side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's more done on the athletic side, I should say.
Right. Well, you guys, we're actually at the 1 minute mark.
Oh,
I can't
wow.
Wow,
believe
time
it.
flies when you're
So
fun.
give
Mhm.
everybody all your contact information.
I'm Rick Hall with Ground Up Property Services, 407-468-4295, www.groundupinc.net.
.net. Remember that, you guys. And then on all your social medias too. It's groundupinc.net.
.net.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you can find me at strikingbrand.com or email Melissa at strikingbrand.com.
And I am Angela. And on Facebook, you can actually go to Business at a Distance, Central Florida Networking. Would love to have you guys join. And a huge thank you to our sponsors. And thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, everyone.